Hi.
Hello, hello.
How are you today, Evelyn?
I'm doing well. How are you, Kim? Like we
I
haven't talked
am,
to each other all day long.
no, I haven't seen you since 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about? I am super excited though. Do you want to know why?
I don't know what day it is, but hopefully it's because of our special guest.
You mean Taylor Swift's wedding that is happening next Friday that I'm invited to, and I just got my dress?
She lives in her own world, y'all.
Yeah. If I'm not here for our next podcast in 2 weeks, it's probably because I got arrested trying to sneak into the rafters of Madison Square Gardens.
This is why my cup says what it says. Enough said.
You hate me so much. All right, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to What's Next for Appraisal. We are so glad you're here. I'm
Yeah.
Kim Angelo, and Program Director of the ACI, and I am joined by the ever so brilliant Evelyn Schallberger, who is the Product Manager for ACI Sky Workbench. In just a few moments, we're going to bring two returning guests from our Innovation Council, Marcus Perry and Tim Roeser. You guys blew us
Yay.
up after the last session, and we had such a positive response to Marcus and Tim that I am genuinely concerned that they are going to steal our podcast. But we had to bring them back. We're going to get into a little bit of a deeper dive this time, get into a more practical conversation. But first, just a quick reminder before we begin that mics and video are disabled. So please use that Q&A box to submit questions at any time. Our team is watching those questions and we'll save time at the end for some live Q&A, hopefully. Fingers crossed. All sessions are recorded and posted to aciweb.com. So if you have to leave early or you miss a session, no worries. You can always catch up with us online. All right. So today, let me go ahead and stop sharing this guy. There we go. All right. So today we are focusing on the information that supports the report. So that is documents, photos, sketch, property details, inspection notes, all of the other materials that need to come together to complete that U83-6 assignment. And with U83-6, you guys know, appraisers, you are working with more structured information. It's larger data sets than what you're used to in today's form-based workflow. And that makes the inspection process, the documentation habits, file organization so much more important now than ever before.
Right.
But real quick, before we jump in, I do want to share a major update. And I think this is what Evelyn thought I was going to share earlier, but I tricked her. And that is ACI Sky Workbench is officially live in production for U83-6.
Yay.
Officially live. We're live. We're not just verified. We are in full production. So if you have a U83-6 assignment, go check us out in Workbench. But even more exciting is a special shout out congratulations to Cindy Lee, who is the appraiser that completed her first U83-6 assignment in Workbench.
Nice.
Yeah, congratulations, Cindy.
Yes,
It is
absolutely.
such a huge milestone for our team, for our Innovation Council, and especially our appraisers who have really helped shape this product with us. Verification was a major step, but seeing an appraisal like actually completed in production, it really just makes all of that hard work come to life.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
He's just awesome to work with too.
Yeah. All right, so at this point, I want to go ahead and bring on Marcus and Tim. You guys ready to join the fun?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
Thanks for having us back.
Yes, thank you. I don't think we're going to take over
course.
you guys' podcast. I don't take it over.
Do
Fans
More of a
demand.
spin-off.
There you go, spin-off. That's it.
Yeah. We'll be the
Already.
Joni Loves Chachi of this podcast.
I'm just gonna.
That's good.
I'm gonna go make
Dating
dinner.
ourselves bad.
Okay. You guys are fantastic. All right, so back on track. Marcus is going to lead us through this from a practicing appraiser's perspective. So, like, what to think about before the inspection, what to capture at the property, what happens when you come back and actually start completing the report. And Tim is going to join throughout with the QC review perspective, especially around documentation gaps or consistency issues that can create questions later. So, Marcus and Tim, welcome back. Please don't steal our show. We love having you. And before we get into the discussion, I'd love for you guys to give a brief introduction of yourselves.
Sure. Tim, you want to go first?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Tim Roeser. I am the appraisal manager at First American Valuations. I've been with the company here for almost 15 years. I've been an appraiser since 2005. And let's see, I've reviewed First American's first 3 UAD 3.6 files. So I've had my hands in the dirt.
Nice.
Alrighty. So I'll go. I don't know if I'm Joni or Chachi, but I will go. Marcus Perry, I've been appraising since 2008. I've been with First American / Foresight ever since. I've appraised in Houston for about 4 or 5 years, Dallas for about 14 years, and then now here in the Murray, Kentucky rural market. So I've seen a whole bunch of different markets and different appraisals and different cookie cutters for each market. So anyway, I like to think I have a wide scope of knowledge in different appraisal realms.
Nice.
Awesome. Love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like Kim said,
like
we're very glad that y'all were able to rejoin us for this session. We had a lot of great feedback, a lot of really great questions that came through. So I think we should just dive on into some of those and start with, we kind of categorize things a little bit. So one of the first things that we want to talk about is that inspection prep. So Marcus, I think you'll drive a lot of this piece of the conversation, but of course, Tim, we want to know your perspective too from the reviewer's lens here on some of these things. But when it comes to inspection, Marcus, when you're preparing for a UAD 3.6 inspection, what are you thinking about that's different before you even leave for the property for this versus 2.6?
You just want to, I think from what I've done is you prepare just like you normally would. You're going to get your MLS sheet, your tax records, your call sheet or whatever, your engagement letter, all that good stuff. You're going to prepare the same way. However, when you go to the property, that's where it all changes. There's so many new things, data points, items that you have to have for UAD 3.6 versus 2.6. And that first one is going to be a hurdle. I strongly encourage anybody. I think if anybody took anything away from the first call we had is that get into Workbench, get your login first and foremost figured out, get in there and start playing with it. Start finding out, like I said, appraise your own home and see what you need. You go through Workbench line item by line item and see what is needed and all the different new things that are needed: ceiling height, door height, wall quality, ceiling features, flooring features. There's just so many more things that are needed, and it's going to be like the old phrase, you're drinking water from a fire hose, but you'll figure it out. Yeah. And all the different view and sight items that are needed. There's just, I can't stress anybody enough. And at the inspection, take so many photos of anything and everything that you would need. But the inspection, I think if anybody was to just inspect their own home, I think you're going to be way ahead of the game for your first inspection. Just practice with it, tinker with it, and see what you need, because there are so many new things that are with 3.6. As we know, it's all new. It's brand new. And so just find out what's needed.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. I know we've talked about that before too. We've talked about using some of the GSE samples, your own home, whatever it is, just to to get your feet wet. And our team is here obviously to answer questions, and we've got folks that are going through that right now. But we would love to make sure that we're helping you through that test order before you get to a live order, right? That you got a turn time obligation you got to meet. So absolutely love that. There's more data points, I think, is what I took away from your answer there, right? That they want to be prepared for. Are there any items, though, specifically that they need to remember now that they maybe didn't focus on as much with 2.6? Oh, sorry, Kim. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We're getting some feedback from our attendees that the left side of the screen is black. So I'm just going to move everyone off the screen for a second and then bring you back on. I just didn't want to do that without giving you a heads up.
No worries.
Just going to look a little funky there for a second. We're still here. You just won't be able to see us.
The takeover is happening, Marcus.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're back.
Right.
All right. Okay.
Bringing back that question, though. Sorry, Marcus. I think really the question was, what is something we were talking about the additional data points and trying to get my train back on the tracks. Some items that you might need to remember now that they maybe didn't focus on with 2.6 outside of just the data points.
Yeah. First and foremost thing that comes to mind is green features, any energy efficient item, whether it be foam encapsulation, any type of Energy Star standard that the home may have, anything like that. Document that, get it from the homeowner. They're going to be really proud of it. They're going to like, hey, here's what I have. Sure. The house has been pressure tested or what. Any type of green feature that they may have. There's going to be what's called a disaster mitigation things, whether the home has storm shelters. The water heater is strapped, bracing on the rafters, anything you can ask the homeowner if they know. And then if not, if it's an FHA during your interior attic, head and shoulders attic inspection, you can maybe see that. Get photos of it, get photos of everything. Those are going to be the probably the two biggest ones that I could think of is the green features of the home and what's called disaster mitigation features.
Okay, that's good feedback. And then too, for anyone who's listening in, who's like, well, what if there's not? That's okay too, because selecting none takes away all those extra questions, right? They're not relevant. They don't pertain to your report type. So you only see what you need to see. So, but that's good for inspection comments.
And getting into Workbench and playing with it, you'll know that. So your first run, you're going to forget something. That's going to happen. It is. So just expect it. You're going to forget something, but you'll know what 3.6 is needing. So get ahead of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tim, what about from a QC perspective? Anything hitting home on what we're talking about right now from what you've seen review wise that you want to make listeners aware of?
Yeah, and just to tack on what Marcus said about taking as many photos as you can. With all the new features in this form, you're going to reference your photos a lot more because you're not just going to be putting in, here is the 3 materials that the flooring is, and they're in average condition. It's going to be each flooring. What is the level of, updating in that flooring? What condition is that specific flooring in? So, especially on your first few, you're going to open your photos back up and say, okay, bathroom photo was this, it was in, this condition, because that's sort of the granular level. So, you're going to reference your photos a lot. But a lot of what we're seeing in QC having to do with photos is photo labeling. Some softwares have automatic photo labels applied where the appraiser will put a contrary photo label underneath it, or, not having a photo label at all. But the biggest thing is consistency in the responses, because there's, several new selections on the form that you kind of have to pay close attention to that you normally wouldn't think of. The Marcus, the ones you mentioned, ceiling, but, also inspection type. This form is meant for interior and exterior, inspection. So make sure you're marking the right inspection type boxes, the property rights, the room constant, the number of levels, just making sure not only you're using the 3.6 tools, but also that the information you're entering is consistent with what you've entered, especially yes, no, responses that weren't there before.
Love that. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that insight and perspective from what you're seeing from a review purview. Now, Marcus, you also were commenting a little bit earlier about site influence. I know we're talking about inspection, but that as a particular area, and you mentioned that appraisers should be kind of thinking about that differently, right? What is it that they should be looking for and documenting when they're at the property that differs?
You're going to take your street scene both ways, of course. They're going to ask, is it a collector street, arterial street? There's many more different categories. And so you need to document that. So you take your street scene both ways. Well, also, is it a residential view? You have to provide a photo for that. And the distances, those photos need to be taken. I'm holding my hands like this because I use an iPad. And so, a water view or a seasonal water view or a pastoral view or a commercial view or whatever that is, that document that thing, take photos. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but that needs, all those things need to be documented. A busy road, electrical tower easement, any of those things. The site section is it's a lot, because then you're going to get into site value. You're going to get into the different ways how you came about your site value. The site section is, you just really need to document things with photos and the effect, how far that influence is from the subject and its effect on value. So those are things that the site section is a lot. So again, get in there, play with it, and see what all it entails, because it all needs to be documented. It all needs to be discussed, and like I say, it's laying the rails down for the train to go as you're filling it out. So you're building it as you go, and the site section is that you've just got a lot to document, to report, and to get in the report accurately and correctly.
Yeah, and to springboard off of that, like Marcus is saying, there are a lot of more pieces to fill out, but it's painting a bigger picture. So things like, its effect on marketability, its impact is already kind of baked into the form. There are questions where you answer. So it's less free-form text. You don't have to, put in a specific comment on what impact the view has on marketability, because it's already built in the form. So it's a lot more things, but it's not necessarily things you hadn't already considered, when you're doing the 2.6. It's just more baked into the form.
Love that. Thanks for that, Tim. And I appreciate the added context there from, for what Marcus was saying. Anything with relation to, those views and those pictures. I think you were supporting earlier, saying pictures, get the pictures, labeling of the pictures is important. But is there anything to add to that based off what Marcus was sharing for those site influences?
Yeah, like Marcus said, when we talk about site influences, we're talking about adverse site influences and beneficial. Do we back to a golf course? Are we on a busy road? Are we across the street from a Best Buy? Things like that.
Sure.
Quality ratings. It's a lot about familiarity with the new sections. The new quality ratings. How is it a full residential view? And you not only have to categorize it, but explain how much of a view that is. And if there's a second view or locational influence, that's something you have to add. But again, a lot of the response is baked into the form about what impact it has. So the free-form text you're going to have to address that is minimal. And like we've been saying, if it doesn't apply, leave it alone. Don't check it, because it might come up further down the dynamic form, and you'll say, hey, why did this green feature section pop up? Well, because you checked yes in that section. So if it doesn't apply, don't touch it.
Yeah. Right. If it doesn't apply, it's not required, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
And when you try to advance through, it'll let you know, hey, do you want to fill this out? I know with an outbuilding, same thing, Tim. If you say a home has an outbuilding, check, and then it will ask you to confirm. Are you sure? Because we're fixing to start a outbuilding for this.
Right.
And so there's lots
Yeah.
of redundancy in it to help the user out. It's
Yeah.
very user friendly, so to speak.
And, outbuilding, that's a great example because that leads into what you're looking at inspection. Now on the form, if you have an outbuilding, you have to talk about whether it has utilities, does it have electrical? Does it have water run to it? So there are, once you get into Workbench and play around with it, you get to see all the additional things. If it does have an outbuilding, what sort of things should I be looking for when I do the inspection? It's got a lot of nice little clues in there. It's like a Where's Waldo of appraisals.
Yeah, true.
I love it.
You guys should use that in the marketing.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
sales, if you're listening, that's your new pitch. It's the Where's Waldo of appraisal. I love it. Okay, so we talked about inspection a little bit. We spent some time on site influences. I think I know the answer because we're spending a lot of time talking about photos and making sure that that's captured, because what we never want to happen is the appraiser has to go back out, right? And having those photos is really, really helpful. What about interior property features? Because that's another page, right? That's also, there's a lot more there. What about those features that we want to make sure appraisers are more intentional about photographing now?
Yeah, walls, ceilings, flooring, and then your room. You can add multiple angles to the room, but your flooring quality, your wall quality, everything has to be Q rated and C rated, and then what levels of updating has been received. And so I go in a room, take wall, ceiling, floor, then the photo is what, here again, I'm the iPad. So just because your exterior quality and condition, interior quality condition, overall quality and condition, each one has its own little subsection on there, and it's building it as you go, of course. So there's just a lot of little things that you're going to need, and you're going to get back. You're like, oh, was that a flat ceiling cathedral, or what was it? Was it a drop ceiling? Yeah, wall, ceiling, floor, photo.
Yeah. Tim, what about is there anything to add to that other than, I think you've made it clear, labeling consistently, right? It sounds like there's, you have, right? You made that part clear. We got to label our photos consistently, but is there anything specific to interior features that you've seen come back, or I got to send this back to the appraiser and I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to?
The biggest thing to remember is the 3.6 files you're doing are all GSE files. So they all have to meet Fannie Mae photo requirements. So that's all bedrooms, all bathrooms, basements, finished and unfinished, deferred maintenance, outbuildings, detached garages need both interior and exterior, porches, patios, decks, photos, as well as, measuring them, sketching them. There are entire sections regarding them. So, you're going to want to refer back to your photos just in case you didn't make a mental note of what condition the patio was in. But a lot of it is, like we've been talking about, familiarity with the new sections, especially the new quality ratings for interior and exterior are pretty extensive. They really kind of nail down what they're looking for now, as opposed to the previous definitions, which is nice. Yeah. But, a lot of, like we said, there are fewer sections that require absolute, typed out comments or freeform comments, land use of other impact on marketability. So you don't need to overload your reports with your canned comments. So don't worry that, oh, my old reports have my 8 paragraphs of, predominant value and, ANSI disclosures, things like that. A lot of that is already pre-made in the form. So you don't have to overload it with your, typical addendum comments. You can kind of take this as an opportunity to, start from scratch and make sure your comments are specific to the subject. I mean, there aren't that many required areas that, need comments. Only if you're calling something out or, addressing something. Only, when they're really needed or applicable. You don't have to stuff all your typical verbiage in. It's kind of, this is sort of like the Wild West, right? We know what the requirements are, but we don't know what any requirements on top of those things are.
Sure.
So, check the client engagement letter. But again, it's a Fannie Mae form. So the selling guide is sort of your best reference for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about putting all your verbiage in the site section, you're going to have to tell it whether you can't just put your standard, hey, this was a site value was achieved by assessor records. You have to say allocation, extraction, or sales comparison. Well, you click sales comparison, you need to have land sales that you put into this little makeshift grid, and allocation. You're going to have to explain, there's the site value is very thorough and a little bit way more robust than it is now. So to come prepared for that. So that's another aspect that you need to get in there. You need to practice. You need to, get your feet wet in there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're getting close on time, so I think I want to get into some practical advice here because some of the questions that we get to from time to time really break down to what am I going to forget? So, Marcus, I know you've done these orders. What did you forget, or what did you almost miss on your first one and maybe handful of 3.6 orders?
Wall and ceiling photos. And then
Okay.
I've always been really good about taking pastoral or water view photos, and be sure you're taking them from the subject. Don't zoom in. This is the iPad. This is zooming in. Don't zoom in. Take it from the subject as if you were standing on the rear patio and looking at the water. Those type of things. But in my interior photos, the front door height. If you just take a bunch of photos the whole time, those are things that you really you're going to forget. So you're just going to be one of us. So you're fallible, and you're going to forget something, and you're going to learn from it and go on. And you could, on your mighty iPad, you could have this nice checklist, which I use.
Do you use one?
I do. For even my
Awesome.
FHA orders. It's not going to show. Anyway, I just have, like, for my FHA list, electrical, water heater, HVAC, appliances, crawl space, attic, septic. Anyway, door, street view, green energy, walls, floors, and ceiling. And so this is just something I put in the notes app. It's nothing groundbreaking or innovative, or it's just something that's practical for me.
Track.
Everybody's going to have their own workflow, and it's going to be brand new. So my workflow from which I'm still doing 2.6 orders, of course, but workflow to 3.6, it's so much more intricate, things to remember, but in a good way, because you're going to see the final product when it's PDF printed and you're looking at it. Wow, this all has come together, and look at it. So it's good.
Marcus, what's your trick for taking photos from between one property to the next so you don't get it all mixed up?
I've been asked this. I get like on an average inspection, on average 3.2, I'll take about 40 to 50 photos. On the 3.6 for the same home, I would probably take 75, 85 just for coverage. But I get done with a property. If it's a refi, I'm meeting the homeowner, I'll get back in my vehicle, and I'll either, if it's a purchase and I'm locking the door as I'm leaving, I'll take a picture of my feet. And so that's stops one and starts. And if it's, I get back in my vehicle, I take a picture of the steering wheel, and that's my start stop for the next.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever accidentally include pictures of your feet in your appraisal report?
I have not. Tim catches them. Tim catches every one of them. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tim Key season was like, you got your feet in there again, bub. Fix it. No.
That's hilarious.
No, but that's how I do it. Everybody's workflow is completely different, but that's my MO.
Yeah, whatever works for you. I mean,
exactly.
And Tim, what about from the review side, right? We're saying, I think for inspections, we don't want you to miss things. Predominantly, photos are going to help you not do that, right? You, Marcus, you've got a checklist that you kind of follow. But what about on the review side, Tim? What is one thing that appraisers should really double check before they hit submit to whomever their client is with that zip package?
The two biggest things are going to be consistency between the photos, the room count, and the sketch, just because, the way it is, sketch is one thing, photos are one thing, room count is another thing. So just making sure all of those things match up. Making sure, again, you're checking your client-specific instructions, your letter of engagement, and just small things, making sure the AMC is on there, making sure the lender name is on there. And yeah, being familiar with the new things, ownership rights, street types, broadband internet available. There's not a lot of things that if you miss some small thing, there's not a lot of things you wouldn't look for that are on this new form that you can't look back at your notes, your inspection sheet, and your photos that you're not going to be able to catch. You might have to make another call back to the homeowner to verify that, it does have broadband internet or something small like that. But there aren't very many big life or death changes at inspection. It's just going to be several small things.
Gotcha.
But the way 3.6 orders are being sort of assigned, lenders are being, very picky in particular about what properties are going to go 3.6. They're not going to do extremely complex properties because they don't want to add to a borrower delay. So the sooner you're ready to go on 3.6 and you can accept the 3.6 orders, sort of the cream of the crop orders are going to be the first ones out. So if you can get in there and get familiar with it, it'll really put you ahead of the game.
Love that. That's a really good point. I know we're over on time, so I apologize for not leaving you any Q&A time, Kim. But thank you for the conversation, Tim and Marcus. There's a lot of other questions that I think come up, but as always, we very much enjoy. As always, this is our second one. We're going to keep doing it, though. I think I'm already in the mindset that we're just going to keep having y'all on here, because the conversation does go so well and is so fluid. So thank you all again for playing along and dealing with my questions. And Kim, I'll kick it back over to you in case we have any items to wrap up.
I do, and thank you all. Having you two on this show is always such a treat. But so thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone else that has also taken time out of your day to join us. Hopefully this gave you just a better sense of what appraisers may need to capture differently with UAD 3.6, and how to keep all of that information organized. As always, we do have training materials on our website, aciweb.com, and our support team is here to help you as you start working in Workbench. Please get in there now and start playing around with UAD 3.6 orders. You do not want the first time that you touch a UAD 3.6 report to be an actual live assignment. So get in there and get familiar with it now so that you know exactly what to expect. Our next session, I am personally super excited for, because these are my roots. And that is going to be the final one of this 5-part Workbench series that we have. And it is built for real world revisions, strengthening compliance and accuracy. So that episode is going to be on July 9th, same time, same place. We're going to be talking all QC. So this is going to be like all of the, I see your face, Tim. This is going to be all of the tips and tricks, things that are coming up in QC, how you can safeguard against getting those revisions. What are some of the pain points that are coming up? So Tim, not sure what you're doing in 2 weeks, but might like to have you back on.
I'm sensing episode 3 of the Tim and Marcus show.
No, I'm not QC. No.
I know. Marcus is like, I have an appointment at that time.
I did.
We'll
just be all chachi.
I'll do all the talking, and then you can do the color commentary.
Okay, I can do that.
There you go.
You can be my hype man.
Thank you guys all for spending some time with us. We absolutely appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Take care.